this computer. So good afternoon, Josh Mitchell from Mitchell & Stones, who is very well known not only for his business, which is to do with marketing and digital media, but also for the Hampshire Business Show 2019, which I ran the business breakfast for you, which was super. Thank you very much. And so we want to know all about what's happening for you in 2020. And I know, Josh, it must have been such a challenge to get through the sort of the COVID lockdown period and to make some decisions during that time about the business show that was running in October. So I'm going to flick this all back over to you because we're going to talk careers. You can tell us all about your background, which is absolutely fascinating. I've heard some of those stories about, you know, the nightclub days. And so you can hold the stick for as long as you wish. Tell us about Mitchell & Stones, the emphasis of that now, and also what's happening with the Hampshire Business Show this year. I will interrupt because that's what I do. And then we'll talk about your business and the development moving forward, because I know there's quite a lot of interesting things going on there.
Yeah, there is.
I'm going to pass the stick back over to you now then, Josh.
I'll just grab it just there.
Tell us all about what you do. And I do have to say, actually, that you're looking very slimline. Is this something you've been doing?
Thank you. Yeah, so I've since the gyms have reopened especially, I'm just trying to I started the year so well, Beverley. You know, I started it, I had my calorie counts, workout plans, all the rest of it. Yeah. And I was rolling straight through, and obviously lockdown hit, and I was like, oh no. And I just kind of fell off the bandwagon there.
Yeah.
But look, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
That's okay, no problem.
But yeah, I suppose, you know, it's especially over the last week, you know, it's been quite tough with the whole lockdown and stuff like that, especially for the event sector. You know, our industry. So I've got two businesses which I'll talk about in detail. But the event sector specifically, it's been absolutely, I think, destroyed is the word. You know, especially during this process, like. The big thing about events and the challenge is you can't really turn it off and on, like you know, especially for things like the Hampshire Business Show. It's one of those things where you spend the entire year trying to build momentum, build excitement, build interest, and you kind of like peak, if you like, at the show in October. So the first challenge we had throughout this lockdown was, right, okay, so do we take our foot off the gas and just let the momentum die out? Hopefully this whole thing goes away, then we can come out the other end. Or do we just power the way through? And then obviously if we need to postpone, then we'll postpone. And we went for the second option, because I think if we turn the engine off and just try to revive everything around this time of year, we probably wouldn't have been able to put on a good show.
So am I right in thinking then that you've actually cancelled the whole thing now? And when have you rescheduled for? So
we've rescheduled the show for October 21. And the reason for that is just because, like, we looked at the guidance, we saw a snapshot of the guidance that was in place for exhibitions and conferences, and we just don't feel like we could put on a show that really exhibitors are going to love, sponsors are going to love, and visitors are going to love. And look, it's not like, you know, end of the day, you know, Beverley, we're in the middle of a global pandemic, right? So, you know, it's one of those things. So you just got to kind of push it back, and if anything, it's put some more fuel on the fire to sort of come back really for next year. So, but yeah, I suppose in terms of like my background, if you like, I don't really talk about it much, but I went to so basically the story is, I suppose, I grew up in Brighton, obviously like down on the coast, like obviously down the coast, and grew up there. And when I hit college, it's not a funny story at all, but basically when you first join college, I went to a rugby academy, which is in Worthing. And basically there was, like, when you join college, it's like a college freshers party. It was a really dingy nightclub, which is opposite Worthing train station. Honestly, Bev, you go there, it's the worst place in the world. But unfortunately, there was a bit of an incident that night between two girls. And so as a result, basically the local college union, the college student union, said, right, we're not going to run any more college parties, because they didn't want that kind of responsibility over them.
Of course,
So me being me and my mate Seb at the time, we were like, oh, Seb, why don't we set up a college party? And we were like, yeah, let's do it. Where we do it? I don't know. And we started looking at venues and bits and bobs like that. Ended up being at Worthing Assembly Hall. Fast forward kind of 4, 5, 6 months, we had like just under 1,000 people attend. It was absolutely insane. I think I was 17 at the time. But, he must have been 18. So actually he was in the more kind of event manager kind of role. I was more just ticket sales. And that was like huge. And that's sort of where the passion for events kind of like sparks and sort of came.
Sounds like a rave, actually, that does, Josh.
It was a pretty like legal party. It was at an assembly hall. You know, there's like bodyguards and bouncers and all the rest of it. It was so organised. A lot more organised than I thought it would be, to be honest. It was sort of like hopefully everything goes okay.
Yeah.
And it did. And so, yeah, the kick I got out of that was huge. So, it got to the point where I was finishing college, right, what happens next? Mum was like, Josh, why don't you go be a paramedic, or why don't you go be a plumber or electrician, get a trade? And I was a bit like, I don't know if that's the life I want. So I ended up going to University of Winchester to study event management, because I thought I enjoyed the event stuff, so let's go study it. So I went to university, studied event management, realised that, I was never a good student at school. Not so much in terms of naughty, just I'm not really good in the classroom. I'm not really a theory kind of guy. Like,
you're a practical person.
Yeah. And so struggled at school. Like, I think I left school like 4 GCSEs or something like that. Went to college, spent the first year trying to bump up those GCSEs. Had my second attempt at maths, failed that again. Then I jumped onto a level 3 sport BTEC. Passed that by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah.
I applied for university, Beverley, with the complete intention that no one was going to give me an offer. Applied for 3 universities. 2 said no, 1 said yes. Couldn't believe it when they said yes. Ended up being Winchester. So I thought, right, that's it, opportunity, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So rocks up to Winchester. So I went to Winchester. It was great, good fun. I'm in the classroom learning to learn. I'm sort of like being me, falling back into like a bit of a boredom patch with education. And there was a local nightclub in Winchester who wasn't open on a Thursday night. Sorry, that's a lie. They were open, but it was very, very quiet on a Thursday. And obviously all this kind of experience that I've had from college, and, I was promoting lots of nightclubs back in Brighton, working the streets, basically literally standing outside clubs, throwing people into the queue, grabbing hens, picking them up, grabbing stags, throwing them in the queue, and sort of taking a cut of the door revenue. So it was really kind of, I don't know how to describe it, really kind of like hard, brutal kind of sales tactics, all that kind of stuff. I loved it. It's such a buzz. So this nightclub wasn't open. I was getting a bit bored in my course. So I put a proposal into the club and just said, look, let me run your Thursday. Give me 1 chance. If I screw it up, fair enough. But if I keep it going, let me have it every week. So I put a proposal in, no answer. No one got back to me. Found out who owned the club, rang them multiple times. No one getting back to me. I'm sending texts. No one's getting back to me. Following up relentlessly, just trying to get someone on the phone. Finally get through to someone. And they're like, I sort of went into this meeting, like, at the time I was about 18, 19. They're sort of like, what are you talking about? You're going to run this event with like 700, 800 people, kind of thing. And and so basically, long story short, they gave me the chance for the event. It worked out really well. Managed to negotiate quite a good kind of like percentage of takings for the door for tickets and stuff. And so I did that for 2 years. We had like 600-700 people a week come to our events every week.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
All promoted through 100% social media marketing. Hired 10 people to like train them up how to go out and sell tickets and bits and bobs.
Because you had a team of people. I've seen a picture. I seem to remember a picture where you've got loads of people around a table. I basically
hired 10 mates. So I thought like, I was like, right, who's the bubbliest people I know? Because it's one of those things. And I had like 100 quid left in the bank.
Yeah.
And there's a restaurant at the end of the roundabout in Winchester. It's called, it used to be called Number 5 Bridge Street, and they've got a meter room at the back. So I literally gave them my last 100 quid, put like a little spread on for them, bit of food and stuff like that. I literally kind of like offloaded my brain, everything that I knew had worked, things that I know worked, strategies, tips, how to use social media, how to grow followings, how to keep it, how to monetize it. Spent the whole day doing that, and then they had a great time. They earned some good money out of it. And it was great. I mean, the only problem at the time was, I didn't really have a long-term goal or a long-term plan, long-term vision. So as the money was coming in, it was leaving as quickly as well. So
you've sort of got this whole like ticket sales, hospitality. Then you go into your course at Winchester. I know you finished that successfully as well. And it probably was the whole motivation thing just got you through that, wasn't it? And
it was. And, if I'm being brutally honest, my lecturers at university, they went way above and beyond for me. Like they didn't, when you're at university, you're an independent learner. They don't need to hold you by the hand.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I almost failed the course year 1, year 2, and year 3. But and they were there. They were so supportive. They knew I'd have bits and bobs going on, but they were brilliant. So I always go back to like give to the current students and stuff. And it's a great relationship I've got to this day. And actually, all the event stuff at Hampshire Business Show were actually all event management students from the University of Winchester.
Yeah, that's what I was going to come on to that actually, because I know that last year when I was there, and there was quite a lot of the students were there, and they were all sort of taking part, and you were jollying them along. It's absolutely fantastic, because it's so nice to sort of be able to give back that to the community as well, isn't it?
Oh,
So how did you get into Mitchell and Stone then, and then we'll come back on to the Hampshire Business Show.
It's a brilliant question. So my business partner Chris, so he had his own video production company, so he was like doing really creative kind of like videos and animations, and he had all his clients going on. At the time at university, so he went to Winchester as well, by the way. So he was at University of Winchester, a year above me. So he kind of graduated while all of my event stuff was happening.
Yeah.
So he's running his video business. This event in Winchester, honestly, the traction it got was just like humongous. Like other bars were emptying as ours was filling up.
Yeah.
And it kind of got the attention of other businesses, so like restaurants, taxi companies, all that kind of stuff. Before I knew it, I was they're kind of ringing me and just saying, Josh, like, I know you run these events, but is there any pointers you can give us on our kind of social media and what we're doing with our paid ads and all the rest of it? And it was a complete accident, really, because it ended up being, we started looking after restaurants, looking after their social media, making sure their ads were good. They're really attractive promotional offers. And then taxi companies, and it just sort of grew up just sort of like that, really. And then a lot of what I was doing, so I was primarily doing the social media support, strategy, ads, all the rest of it. But obviously where Chris did videos and animations and stuff, it complemented it very well, because I was like, Chris, can you like go film this? And he was like, yeah, no problem. Oh, this guy needs some social media and all the rest of it. And after a while, it was just sort of like, well, should we just throw everything together?
But isn't it great that you've got that? Because I mean, I've watched Chris on his computer, and he's got like 3, and he knows exactly what's going on, and he's sort of doing all his design stuff there. What an amazing resource, though, to do all that stuff together. It's incredible. So how's it going? How's it going now?
Yeah, really, really good. And do you know what you just said there is bang on, like, because me and Chris are polar opposites. Like, I don't know if you like, we're big fans of like disc profiling ourselves and kind of assessments. And like, we're completely opposite end of the spectrums. Like, I'm like, right, big picture, what's the dream? Let's go. Yeah. And he's like, no, hold on, Josh. Like, step back. What's the individual steps to get there, kind of thing.
Yes, yeah.
And that's why we kind of complement each other really well. But in terms of Mitchell and Stones, Beverley, like, especially over the last few months, it's been tremendous for us. Like, the thing is, we didn't want to be another marketing agency. There's millions of marketing agencies out there. Yeah. There's no kind of short supply if you need marketing support, right? But what we tried to do and what we found is like the kind of companies that we work with, they're usually in one or two positions. Either one, they're looking for a marketing manager, or the second is they have a marketing manager, but they're quite overwhelmed with the work they're doing. They're not actually free to strategize and work on the business.
Yes.
So what we do is, for example, when the companies that look for a marketing manager, we'll literally give them a call and just say, look, because a marketing manager usually is fantastic in terms of thinking the strategies, where we want to go, how we're going to get there. But when it comes to those kind of individual skills like the graphic design, video production, animations, paid advertising, managing like Google ads, business ads, all the rest of it, it's not really there. So what tends to happen is companies need to also engage an external marketing agency. You've got salary plus agency fees to deliver those services. And on top of that, you've got ad spend as well. So it can get quite expensive. So what we do is we act as like an outsourced marketing department and just give them, brainstorm everything that company actually needs to fulfill like their day-to-day operation and marketing engine function, if you like.
So in this, in the lockdown, I mean, what I'm, from my own business experience is that what people do is when money is tight or, there's not so much income coming in, is they drop the marketing. And of course, that is the worst thing to do, isn't it?
And you know what, it's a really interesting point you touched on that, because, especially what I'm seeing is like, it's so important more than ever. And there was kind of two businesses at the start of this lockdown. It was like, we're going to carry on as normal. Yes, there's been a big shift in terms of how we're working. Obviously, employees work from home, all the rest of it, but we're going to do what we can to get through this storm, right? And then there's kind of another hat of businesses where we're like, right, pandemic, we're going to fall into our little bunker, pull the hatch down. We're not going to sell to anyone. We're not going to do anything. Like, I personally, my personal opinion, I thought that was a dreadful thing to do, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but, with what you do, what we do, and what everyone does in business, we're solving challenges and problems, right, for people or for companies and the rest of it. So, actually, especially for us, we're kind of what we call a top line service activity, because we focus on how we generate new revenue and the rest of it. Like, who are we to, if we're good at what we do, which we are, who are we to say, no, do you know what, we're not taking on any clients. Actually, people need our help more than ever, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think at the start of, certainly from my point of view, at the start of lockdown, I went straight out there saying, I have got that business continuity experience and, strategizing through change. And it's no different than doing that. But isn't it funny how, I know that you've just recently moved office as well.
Yeah.
What I find actually quite interesting is the fact that, up until quite recently, if I had a new mentoring client or somebody that wanted to talk about, working with me on Academy, they'd say things like, but we need to have a face-to-face meeting. And I'd say, well, can we do it over Zoom? Certainly if it was sort of about accounting, it would take me all day. And they'd say, no, I'd prefer to do it face-to-face. And all of a sudden, you don't have the choice. Right? You have to do it, and look at the difference that has actually made to commercial property, office suites.
Yeah,
that whole thing. It's changed everything, hasn't it?
Beverley, it's so true, because perfect example was last month we onboarded 3 new clients, and we've never met any of them now.
Yes.
In a usual kind of normal world situation, there'd have been face-to-face meeting, followed by another meeting, we've conducted everything from start of the initial kind of sales process to working with them as a client, all over Zoom. And it's funny because I'm actually meeting one of these clients tomorrow morning, and we've been working together now for coming up to 2 months, and this will be the first time I've met them face to face, which is
and don't they look different when you meet people when they're not on the screen? They look 3D people look very different than flat people.
No, it's true. You're right. Right.
So with regards to your business, Mitchell & Stone's business, that's all going really well. What's the sort of focus on that for the future? Are you growing your team, or how's that?
Yeah, so we're currently hiring at the minute. So we're looking for an account manager to kind of look after the kind of key client base at the minute. We won't be looking after all of our clients, but we've had some great applicants. So we've been interviewing over the last couple of weeks.
Brilliant.
And do you know what? It's the kind of the quality of talent that's out there is tremendous. And we're in a really difficult position at the minute because we've got 4 or 5 incredible candidates. If I could, I'd take them all on.
Yeah.
I would love to, honestly. But, unfortunately, obviously, nature of the beast, you can't. But it's not a bad challenge to have. And, obviously, it is a shame about Hampshire Business Show this year. It's one of those things, there's only so much moaning you can really do to yourself. End of the day, it is what it is. So, as I said, it's put a lot of fuel on the fire in terms of what we're going to do for next year. But also, we've got plans to grow that as well. We're looking at launching a second location. So, I'm probably looking at Surrey. So, we'd love to launch a Surrey show.
Yeah,
we're pretty much ready to go on that one, to be fair. It's been kind of thrown up a little bit, but it's all exciting, and I think both businesses complement each other. We don't really slam Mitchell & Stones all over all over the Hampshire Business Show, because that's not what it's about. With Hampshire Business Show, and we launched it last year, it wasn't about reinventing the wheel, it was about making the wheel better.
Yes.
We've been so many exhibitions locally and around London and the rest of it. And you walk in and there's so much that can be done better, I think. And really, that's what we want to do. And
it's bringing in new talent as well, isn't it, into those situations? People that can bring some real value. I know that there was 1 or 2 people at the show last year that I missed seeing talking, but sort of caught up on afterwards. And I thought, that's so great. Like Mark Wright, for example, off The Apprentice. It's really important to get people like that on board. And Mitchell & Stones and marketing and exhibitions and. It just is all promoting businesses, isn't it?
That's right. And you know what? That's nail on the head. No matter where I go, where Chris goes, we always fall into some sort of position where we're promoting other businesses.
Yeah.
But that's fine. It's I enjoy that, right? And and one of the big things about the show is I don't know why. It's great to get your opinion on this, Beverley. But my opinion is, if you're good at something, why not go out there and win new clients and tell people about it and do what you do best for other people? I think there's a common. It's weird because in America, perfect example, right? It's the position of a salesperson, right? In America, you go out to America, being a salesperson is a really kind of noble role to have. It's like a really, he's a salesperson.
Representing the company.
Absolutely, or she's a salesperson. But here we tend to hide the word sales behind things like business development manager.
Yeah.
Manager. What's the point? I don't get it. And to be quite blunt, you know, what the Hampshire Business Show is about, it's about attracting the right people to the show. It's about bringing as many decision makers together, because I want to see collaborations. I want to see people listening to each other. I want to see hands being shaken, because, you know, the Hampshire Business Show really should be one day of the year, big exhibition in Southampton. And the amount of transactions that are happening at that show, it becomes a very key and important date on thousands of calendars around the
I think the thing is, though, that you added real value to that as well by putting in different zones where people could meet different people that they might not have, and giving also people the opportunity to, you know, have one-to-one sessions with experts or specialists, things like that. And you know very well as I do that collaboration is right at the top of my list, with because my own strap line is "We achieve more when we collaborate." And like you know, Academy, which is my online platform, came out of my business breakfast.
That's right, yeah, it did. Yeah, it launched at the show, actually, didn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I launched it last year at your show.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You know, all the time that people are coming telling me all about what they did, and I thought, why don't people just get this online and you know, and use it to leverage their business and their reach? So in exactly the same way, you know, that you do with the Hampshire Business Show, which I thought was great. Yes, we launched there last year.
No, that's right. Do you know what? And it's really that is the perfect example of a success story from our show. Like the fact that launch at the show last year, you know, it brings this kind of like.
Yeah, we'll have to do a case study for you.
Yeah, please do, honestly, because you know they're the kind of stories you want to hear, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and people
idea generation, all that kind of stuff. That's
absolutely. And I think that somebody that was helping me with the show there last year will come to talk to you again. You know, one of the people that were helping me on my stand were there whilst I could go and do a talk for you. You know, so you know, it was just great. And I'll write you a case study for it, because it's absolutely.
Also, I've got to say, you know, whoever's watching this, you did a brilliant job of that breakfast.
Oh, thank you.
You know, when everyone came over, Beverley, when everyone came over, like they were all crying their eyes out, and I thought, oh my god, what's Beverley done to them all? Like everyone's coming over in tears. I'm looking at them as they're all coming through the door. I'm like, oh my god, what's happened at that breakfast over the road? And it turns out, you know, you recommended Chris, who was Nelson Mandela's former personal bodyguard.
Yeah, told us his story.
You know, and I wish I was there, because I heard that his talk was so powerful.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That, you know, it was just everyone came over and everyone complimented not only the food but how it was managed.
Yeah, thank you.
And it all went really well.
Events is something that I actually love doing, and is you know, is certainly something I want to do in the future. And you know that I will help you in any way I can as well. So so Chris Lubby, it was just amazing, and we had a few other people there as well, which was fantastic. So moving forward, then, what's happening now with the Hampshire Business Show? So moving it to 2021.
Correct. Yeah. So. Look, the original plan was, look, we needed to work out, you know, one, how can we give people confidence to book onto this show? Because, so originally we had a backup date for kind of February time, and that was we kind of planned that date back in March as soon as this whole thing was kicked off. And really that date was there to let, obviously, if October was too soon, we can push it back a bit. I think my initial concern, you know, my initial concerns were like, you know, I don't know, but you know, if there is a second wave, the last thing I want to be doing is ringing everyone again, kind of like time. Also, I know it sounds really silly, but my mind's kind of clock is a bit broken now, because you know, normally I could January, the show's in October, 10 months away. Here's the kind of plan that how we're gonna promote it, and it sort of set me up a bit as well. And look, realistically as well, it's looking at the guidance that's in place at the minute. Hope, fingers crossed, it's completely different. You know, we're kind of back to normal exhibitions by next year. Look, to be honest, Beverley, it was all down to two things right at the start. It was all the show was always going to be postponed or go ahead based on, can we keep everyone safe? Can we stick to government guidance? And the second thing was, can we deliver the experience that our exhibitors and sponsors and visitors deserve? And if any one of those two things were impacted, we're always going to move it. So, so next October, that's the aim now. We've already planned, actually, kind of like a few kind of high-profile speakers that want to get there. But you can't do these things poorly or like half-hearted.
It's got to be done right. And also, if you couldn't have the people there that you wanted, or you know, with the social distancing and everything, it isn't actually the experience that you wanted to create, which was very networking and collaborative.
Absolutely.
So January up through next year will sort of take you up to a new show. So good luck with that one.
Thank you. And also the other reason was, Beverley, is like, you know, especially what you said there about the whole networking piece. The last thing I want is people being like, I'm sure, can I shake your hand? Are we elbow in? Are we fist bumping? What are we doing? You know, be a bit of a nightmare.
And then chasing it all up afterwards with track and trace. No, it's just easier, isn't it, to have managed the whole thing. It's like when you're looking forward to a holiday next year, isn't it? You know, you just want to get through each month and then get to the nice holiday. And
that's right. But I think we made the right calls, and you know, all of our sponsors have been incredibly supportive. And to be honest, you know, we've actually retained a very high percentage of them, just rolled over onto next year anyway, which is great.
Yeah. Well, and people will be very supportive of you because of what you achieved last year, which is, you know, had some great feedback. So we're sort of moving towards the end of where we need to stop, actually, which is very sad because I love typing and talking to you, as you very well know. So the whole emphasis of this is what did your teacher say? So what were you like then at school, Josh? I know that you said that you found it a bit of struggle to sort of, you know, focus, but that's because you're a red-black practical person, isn't it? You know, with your disc. So we tend to be a sort of a reflection of how we started off. So what did your teacher used to say about you at school then?
Oh, that's a great question. It was never really good things, to be honest. So, what did my teachers say about me? It's just all the typical kind of stuff that I've heard even at university, really, Beverley. It's like, Josh, why aren't you focusing? Work a bit harder. But then, but you know what? It's not until
you want to be on the rugby pitch, though. On the rugby pitch.
Rugby. I was always focused there. But it's not until you kind of, like, I suppose, leave and you get into like what we're doing now that you look back and it's like actually the way my brain is wired is just a bit differently. Like I need to be out there doing stuff. That's what gives me a kick. That's what gives me a buzz. You know, and even when I go back to give talks and stuff, whether it's at universities or colleges, and that's one of my biggest things is like find something you love and you're passionate about, because that will just alone on the days when you're not motivated and you're not driven, they'll just for you. So I think from your what were you talking about, your street success in Worthing and Winchester, who've all had the benefit of your experience and pulling together some great events, through to setting up your own marketing digital agency. What a great success story, Josh, because I know that you're actually still in your 20s. So you're doing incredibly well. You know, you're one of those people to watch for the future, aren't you? And, you know, you've sort of taken that through through COVID. You've made a smart decision with the business show, and clearly your business is growing because you're now developing staff and teams. We are. We've got some great clients. It's great to have key relationships, work with people like you, Beverley.
Thank you. So it's always a pleasure. I love having breakfast with you at Maritimo Lounge. Let's do that as soon as we can. And just to say, Josh Mitchell, thank you very, very much for your time this afternoon. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. Thank you.
Thank you.